Before we begin tonight's story, take just a second to support the channel. If you're someone who believes in the power of love, family, and second chances, then you're in the right place. Go ahead, subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications, because the story you're about to hear isn't just emotional. It's unforgettable. It's about a quiet night, a simple message, and one unexpected moment that changed everything. Because sometimes, the people who love us the most are the ones who remind us that our story isn't over yet. The message came quietly, so quietly, in fact, that if the room hadn't been completely still, Emily Carter might not have noticed it at all. Her phone vibrated once softly against the smooth marble kitchen counter. Just a small sound, but enough to interrupt the calm rhythm of her evening. Outside, rain fell steadily over the streets of Portland, turning the city into a blur of shimmering lights and silver reflections. Street lamps glowed through the mist, their light bending gently across wet pavement. Inside the house, everything felt warm, still, and familiar. Too familiar. Emily stood at the sink, drying the last plate from dinner. It had been simple. Just soup and toasted bread. She preferred it that way. Simple meals. Quiet nights. Predictable routines. Because life had taught her something over the years. When things are simple, they don't fall apart. When things are quiet, they don't hurt as much. For nearly 15 years, this house had been her world. Every corner held a memory. Every shelf, a piece of her life. And for the most part, she had learned to live comfortably inside that world. Her days rarely changed. She worked long hours at the bookstore, surrounded by stories that belonged to other people. Then she came home, cooked something small, cleaned the kitchen, and read a few pages before going to bed. Day after day, week after week, year after year. It was safe. It was steady. And for a long time, she told herself it was enough. But deep down in the quiet spaces between moments, there was something missing. Something she had learned not to name. Then came the vibration again. Her eyes drifted toward the counter. The screen lit up. A message. From Liam. Her son. Emily's hands stilled for a moment. Liam didn't usually text this late. Not without a reason. And immediately, her mind began racing. Was he okay? Did something happen? Was he hurt? Was he in trouble? The questions came faster than she could control them. She quickly wiped her hands on a towel and reached for the phone. Her heartbeat had already begun to pick up. The message was short, but it didn't feel small. Mom, I want to tell you something tonight. Please don't be surprised. Emily stared at the screen. Once, twice, again. The words didn't change. But somehow, they felt heavier each time she read them. This wasn't just a message. It felt like a moment waiting to happen. What does that mean? She whispered softly to herself. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. Of course. Is everything okay? She hit send. And waited. Almost instantly, the typing dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then nothing. No reply. Emily frowned slightly. That wasn't like Liam. He had always been thoughtful, careful, steady. Especially after everything they had been through together. She placed the phone back on the counter, but her eyes kept returning to it every few seconds. The rain outside grew heavier. Top, top, top. Each drop against the window sounded louder now. More noticeable. As if the world itself was holding its breath. Ever since her husband passed away 4 years ago, Emily and Liam had become everything to each other. They had learned how to carry grief, together. Late-night conversations. Silent dinners. Moments where neither of them said anything, but both understood everything. Emily had done what mothers do. She gave everything. Her time. Her energy. Her dreams. She worked longer hours. Skipped vacations. Ignored the parts of herself that once wanted more. And she never regretted it. Not once. Because Liam was worth everything. But tonight, something about that message unsettled her. Not fear exactly, but something close to it. Something unknown. She let out a quiet breath and reached for the kettle. If there was one thing she had learned over the years, it was this. Tea helps when thoughts become too loud. Within minutes, Warm steam curled gently into the air. She wrapped her hands around the mug, letting the heat ground her, then walked to the small table beside the window and sat down. Outside, rain traced slow paths across the glass. Inside, time felt slower, heavier. Her mind wandered. Maybe Liam got a new job. Maybe he was moving away. The thought tightened something in her chest. Of course she wanted him to succeed. Of course she wanted him to grow. But the idea of this house, becoming even quieter, felt heavier than she expected. And then, without warning, her thoughts drifted somewhere she didn't often allow them to go. To someone she had tried not to think about too much. Daniel Harper. He had walked into the bookstore 6 months ago. At the time, he was just another customer. Or so she thought. But there was something different about him. He didn't rush. Didn't scroll through his phone. Didn't treat the store like a place to pass through. He lingered. He noticed things. One afternoon, he approached the counter with a worn poetry book in his hands. He looked at her and asked something unexpected. Do you think poetry still matters today? Emily had smiled politely. Stories always matter, she replied. That conversation lasted nearly 20 minutes. After that, he kept coming back. Sometimes twice a week. Sometimes just to browse. Sometimes just to talk. They spoke about books, childhood memories, and the quiet comfort stories bring to lonely people. And slowly, without realizing it, Emily began to look forward to those conversations. Because Daniel did something rare. He listened. Not to respond. Not to impress. But to understand. And it had been a long time since anyone had listened to her like that. Then one evening, after closing time, he hesitated at the door, as if deciding something. He turned back, holding a book tightly in his hands, and said, "Would you like to get coffee sometime?" Emily had felt it immediately. Surprise. Fear. Hope. All at once. But fear spoke the loudest. So she smiled gently and said, "I think my life is a little too busy these days." Daniel nodded. Kind. Understanding. But there was something in his eyes. A small flicker of disappointment. That stayed with her long after he left. And more than once, she wondered if she had made the wrong choice. Suddenly,